Hey, what's up? I'm Seth, and today I'm answering the question, should I share with my kids A Quiet Place 2? Okay, so it's been out for a couple months already. I wasn't able to go see it in the theaters. I really wanted to, but one, if you have kids, you know it's hard to get out to the theater. And two, my wife just does not like horror movies. And so date night didn't really work out. I wasn't able to get there. I heard it was really good in the theaters. So if you have a theater system and can watch it, I think that'd be great. But I did find it on Paramount Plus, the new app for Paramount. It was on the free trial, and so I checked it out. And you know what? I really liked it. The big question I always ask though is, would I share it with my kids? And the answer is a definite maybe, just because there's a lot of factors there. I think it would depend on if I had already showed them the first one. I think it would depend on how they are with horror elements and how that kind of stays with them. You know, some kids, they watch a horror movie or any movie and it's just like a ride. You know, it's just like going on a roller coaster or something. It's just fun for the moment and then they forget about it and they're done. But for some kids, it really sticks with them, especially some horror elements. And so understanding that, for my kids personally, we're still kind of in that range where it does kind of stick with them. But there were some great things about this movie and there were some things that I didn't love. So let me talk about those things. Oh, by the way, light spoilers for this review. Not total spoilers. In fact, I would almost say spoiler free, except for sometimes when I talk about what I liked, it does give away a little bit, but it's mostly spoiler free. Okay, the first thing I really liked about this movie is that it was still family focused. The first movie was, and so was this one. You stay with the same family, and it's a fun family to follow. They've got the daughter who's deaf, which brings a great dynamic to this movie that doesn't have a lot of dialogue. This one, compared to the first one, has more dialogue, I felt like. There's more going on. There's more happening. I mean, it is a sequel. And so sequels always try to take some things about the first movie and take it to the next level. I feel like this movie did that a little bit as far as just the family dynamics and what's happening with them. And it was fun to watch. I really enjoyed that. The second thing I really liked about this movie was something I didn't quite expect. So this is a post-apocalyptic movie. And in this movie, they meet other people. And sometimes that's really awkward and doesn't work out well. And I'll come to that later, actually, because there is some parts that don't work out well. But in this movie, there are people who are helpful and kind without conditions. You don't see that a lot in a post-apocalyptic movie. Usually people are trying to get what they can out of the other people, you know, trying to find the way to survive, you know, and survival usually means survival of the fittest, which usually means taking advantage of others. And there are some people in this movie that don't do that, which was really refreshing. They just help to be helpful, to be good people. And I really like that. And I think that'd be great for my kids. The third thing I really liked about this movie is it is more intense. Now, I like that because it does make it more exciting. But the first movie was intense. This movie, I feel like, takes it up a notch. It's even more intense. You saw the family get through the first movie, and then you see them start trying to get through this movie. And it's like, oh, they survived the first movie. Are they going to survive this one? You don't know, right? It's because they've already been through a lot, and then they're going through even more. And there's more things that happen to them. Again, the intensity is higher. And I think for me, and it could be for your kids, that could be a lot of fun. All right, so what didn't I like about this movie? Well, it's intense. Yeah, I know. I just said that was one of the things I really liked about this movie was the intensity. But the intensity could also be something that I didn't quite like. Now, let me tell you why. I like intensity, and I think one of my kids would really like the intensity. I know one of my kids would not, that it would affect her, and she would remember it, that we would have to go like on a long walk after watching this movie. She would have to really decompress. There would have to be some things that she would need to do emotionally after this movie because it is very intense. There was actually some of the intensity. Again, I enjoy it because I like that type of thing. My wife doesn't, but for me, it's fun. But at the same time, there was parts that, you know, I was really freaking out. Again, that's fun for me, but I know for my kids, it might not be. So kind of this half and half thing. The intensity is one of the really highlights of the movie. The intensity could be detrimental as well, depending on the kid. Another thing I didn't quite like about this movie was, you know, I talked about what I liked was seeing, you know, these good people do good things without any type of conditions. There are also bad people. There is the other side of it. And that's uncomfortable for me. And maybe that's something I have to deal with myself. But I did not like seeing these people who were almost the worst of humanity. And it doesn't see a ton. It's not super explicit as far as, you know, what these people actually do. But you could tell that it was a very uncomfortable situation. And that, for me, in reality, is more scary than these CGI monsters because, you know, that is a reality. There are people like that. And I didn't really like that. Again, that might be something I need to figure out for myself, but I didn't love that. The last thing I didn't like about this movie is that it was a little more violent. So the first movie was more intense and not tons of violence. This movie is more intense and a little more violent. Not a ton, but there is more blood. You know, there is more monsters. There is more death and destruction. There is more seeing of dead people, that type of thing. It is a horror movie that is expected. It's not overly gratuitous, but it is there. And it could be a little frightening, especially for your kids. So be aware of that. That's the horror side of it, right? Is violence, is intensity, is a little bit of gore. There is that is a part of this movie. That was just, you know, kind of in the end of the first movie. It is more present in this movie. So be aware of that. So again, overall, that's what I liked. That's what I didn't like. Would I share it with my kids? I think I would. I still feel like this falls in the realm of a horror movie that I would be comfortable sharing with my kids, especially if they watch the first one. Especially my older kids, my 10-year-old, my 12-year-old. My 5 and 7-year-old, not yet. I would wait for them. But my older two, they're getting to the point that, you know, if they are expressing interest in the horror genre, this would be a movie I'd be comfortable to share with them. Okay, so that's my review. That's talking about what I like and didn't like. Some good questions to ask after watching this movie is, you know, ask your kids, you know, if you were in this situation with this family, would you stay alone by yourself? Would you survive that way? Or would you try and go find other people? Again, it could go one of two ways doing that, you know, and I would ask my kids, what would they want to do? Would they want to be with others? Would they want to stay on their own to survive? And how they think that would work for them. I would also ask them, you know, what would you do in this world to plan for the future? This family did a good job. They had the baby. Again, that's not really a spoiler, that happened in the first movie, but they do a lot to prepare for that baby. There's some things that happened to them that they weren't prepared for. It's difficult because you do have to be quiet. I would ask my kids, kind of get that survival brain going. So what, you know, asking them if they'd be alone or with people, and then what they would try and do to prepare for the future and have a real life, you know? And then lastly, I would, you know, ask them maybe a more difficult question. Why in this world were there some people that were extremely helpful, and why were there people that were not? Why do you think that they made those choices and became that way? All right, those are the questions I'd ask. Overall, I like this movie quite a bit. These two movies, again, A Quiet Place 1 and A Quiet Place 2, sit right next to each other as far as how much I enjoy them. They're on the top of my list as far as horror movies that I enjoy. They're great. I love them a lot. And I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen it, or if you plan on seeing it, or if you would share it with your kids, or if you did share it with your kids. Let me know. If you like this video, then hit the like button below. If you want to see more videos like this, more reviews, then hit the subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.